Into the wild I'll go, and into the wild I am. It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home. Into the wild I'll go, and into the wild I am. It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home.
Welcome to the FREEBIRTH Society podcast. This is a radical space for women who are ready to celebrate their autonomous choices in birth, motherhood, and beyond. Together, we'll learn about wild birth through personal narrative, we'll explore the politics of birth, and we'll analyze everything that relates to our lives as women from a feminist perspective. Here's your host, Emily Saldea.
It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home.
Sister, is birth work your calling? Do you long to witness and support the awesome power of women as we make life, form kinship, and transform the world through undisturbed mother-centered birth? In your most expansive vision of your life, are you the authentic midwife of your community, walking in total grace, reciprocity, and trust with women through the sacred portal of pregnancy and birth? Then our groundbreaking Radical Birthkeeper School is for you. It is an immersive, live, intensive mastermind in all things authentic midwifery that will give you the blueprint and guidance to launch a life-altering, world-shaking radical birth brand and business. Think birth business mastermind, life-changing coaching intensive, deep dive into all things birth, step-by-step roadmap for serving women authentically, and the wise woman initiation that you have been dreaming of, all rolled into one epic program that will change your entire life. It is time to become the lighthouse that guides women home to ourselves. Head to freebirthsocietycourses.com/radicalbirthkeeper now to claim your spot and say yes to your calling. With her first pregnancy, Ita wholeheartedly trusted her medical midwife and OBGYN to give her the gentle, natural birth she wanted. After her OB told her she had to be induced due to her baby's abnormal kidney size, she was left with a surgical birth that completely wrecked her first couple years of postpartum. When she got pregnant again, she found a Radical Birthkeeper graduate and other wise women to walk with her completely outside of the medical system. With her second daughter, she got the wild, beautiful birth she always wanted at 44 weeks gestation. Welcome, Ita.
Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Loving your background with the pink. It's very festive. And yeah, like I just told you before we were recording, I heard little bits about your magnificent tale. And I'm just so excited that you're here and that you're going to share with us this wild ride that you went on with this baby. So let's just start from the beginning, with your first child, and tell us anything about that first birth that you want to share today.
So it was wild. Both of my births are very wild, but yeah, they both really beautiful at the same time. So I'm gonna start with my first birth. So my daughter now, she is 5.5 years old. So I'm originally from Indonesia. I'm from Jakarta. So I was pregnant in Indonesia and my husband is American. So when I was 4 months pregnant, I was, you know what? I don't want to live in the city life. I was born and raised there. It was, you just know, like, I want to be somewhere that peaceful, like, near to the ocean and stuff. So I moved to Bali when I was 4 months pregnant, and then immediately I found this birthing center in Bali, who led by midwife, who's all about gentle birth and beautiful. It's just beautiful. Like they have nice ambience. All the midwives are super nice, and I just thought this is what I want to birth my baby. So I started my prenatal care right away in that birthing center. And so the main midwife was super lovely. I asked her, do you have any recommendation for OBGYN? And she said, yes, I do. This is a phone number. If you need to see him, you can call him. He's basically pro gentle birth as well. So I'm like, great, this is amazing. I have a midwife. I have a pro gentle birth OBGYN. So I started my prenatal care, but at the same time, I go to the OB every month to get my ultrasound still. So I will go to birthing center to get my final check because they don't have an ultrasound machine. So that's where I go to get it from my OBGYN. Pregnancy was a breeze, I would say. I mean, I was in Bali. We were like, living the best life, basically. But I was mainly by myself because my husband has to be in the US and I was still waiting for my visa.
Oh,
to come here.
no.
So exactly. So he was only physically with me during pregnancy twice.
Oh my gosh. Did you have friends in Bali?
Yes. So my best friend lived in Bali at this time. That's why I was like, you know what? I cannot be in Jakarta anymore. My best friends are in Bali.
Sure.
There's no way. I was like, I need the most support. And
Yeah.
so it just like no brainer. Move to Bali is the best decision ever. And so everything was great, basically. And I'm like, being like pregnant a woman, but at the same time, just like trust my midwife, trust my OB. I don't have to do anything else in between, And fast forward to 37 weeks pregnant. And then at this time, my husband is back in Bali to be with me during labor. And then we're all gonna go back to the US together. So he's staying in Bali. And that morning, I remember I thought my water broke. And I was like, I feel the gush when I pee. I was like, oh, is my water broke? But I have no idea what the water broke is gonna be, I just in my head, I'm like, is my water broke? Anyway, so I text my midwife and then she said, I don't know. I cannot be sure that your water broke or not, but you can meet the doctor and then, see on ultrasound if your water broke or not. So I was like, okay, fine. So I call my OB and he said, yeah, come to the office. And then got checked immediately. And then we all see it on the screen. And like, oh no, your water is fine. My OB said, oh, okay. I was like, I guess I was wrong. And then as he was keep like looking around, and then his face turned a little bit, like more like worried. And then I was like, so we were like still like joking and everything. And then he was like, oh, give me 1 second. And then it was very serious. It turns into a serious face. And I'm like, what's wrong? Oh, I found something in your daughter's kidney now. And I'm like, what? And I was just, I don't know, I just felt, I can still feel it at this time, that moment when I see his face. And he said, your baby's kidney is larger than the left one. And I was like, really? And let me tell you this, 2 weeks prior, I just got my ultrasound check and then everything was fine, basically. And I was like, how? And he was like, give me 1 second, let me make sure again. And when he's done, he sat us down and then he told us about the kidney. He was like, the kidney is twice the size as the left. And it was completely turned me into like, what is going on? It was fine 2 weeks ago. How is it? How did you find it now? And you didn't find it 2 weeks ago. Anyway, we were shocked. My husband and I, we were like, what should we do now? And and my OB was making it sound, it was very serious. So he said, I need you to deliver your baby immediately. And since you are already 37 weeks, you are full term, you know? And I'm like, really? Like, even my head, I'm like, really? Like right now? He said, tomorrow, come to the hospital, we can induce you. And basically we were like, all right, let's think about this and we'll let you know tomorrow. And all night, my husband and I, we cannot sleep. I was crying so much. I already put all the blame. I thought like, this must be my fault. All the stress that I went through during pregnancy, I'm like, that must be it. That must be the stress that, you know, I caused her kidney to be like this. And it was just stress. You know, you just like, who wants to hear as a first-time mother to hear, oh, your baby's kidney is wrong, something's wrong with it. And the next day I told my husband, okay, let's just get induced. He was still, are you sure? Yeah. What if something, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen? And my OB he was making it very serious. He's basically was saying, we need to deliver your baby as soon as possible so we know the treatment right away. We can find the treatment right away. And then I was like, all right, sure. So the next day, I told my husband, let's do this. I want to make sure our baby is fine. So went to the hospital, got admitted right away, start to get induced right away. So I was there for 3 days. And so day one, they give me like a powder orally, where you take orally. And I didn't feel anything all day. And a little later in the evening, I start getting all the contractions that kept me up all night. And then in the morning, it was gone. Basically.
You know, it's crazy. You know, that's Cytotec, which is the abortion pill.
Oh,
it's really crazy.
Yeah, no, I still don't know what's the name of it.
Well, of course. Why would you? It's not like they're telling anyone anything. Yeah. I mean, typically, I guess I can't say 100% sure, but typically the first step of induction is either Cytotec, which is an oral, or Cervidil, which is a gel that's placed in your cervix. And it's, Cytotec causes forced contractions. And it's what women take around the world to help them release an early pregnancy. And it's so dangerous for a full-term baby and mom. And it's just wild, the risks that the medical system take with mothers and babies. It's just so scary. Anyway, so you had some contractions and then it goes away the next day.
Yeah. So, and then the day 2, so the nurse came and I said, nurse, contractions gone. What's going to happen now? Oh, okay. Now I can give you this, I guess, like a little pill that she put it on my vagina. And I said, okay, sure. Again, no question. Yes, please, you know. And same thing happened. There's nothing happening during the day. And then in the evening, contraction came back and I woke me up again all night to have contraction. And in the morning, it was gone again. And at this point, it was like, at this point, I'm super exhausted. And, you know, I started feeling, is this really what birth's supposed to be? Like, you know, because I never heard people, I mean, at that time, only little of my friend ever gave birth. So I don't really have a lot of like birth story at all. Like, especially, everybody gave birth at the hospital anyway. So I thought, okay, this is just a normal process. But I remember day 2, I was exhausted and I'm I told my husband, I cannot do this every day. Like, how long do we want to do this? It's obvious our baby did not want to come out now. And my husband knows how exhausted I was. So he called his mom in the US and asked about, do you know, if you can find out more about this kidney situation, which it's called hydronephrosis. Yeah, the kidney is larger than the left one. And my mom-in-law at that time saying, you know what, according to some of the family member in her family saying that it was not dangerous at all. It was, you don't have to deliver right away. And then we were like, so what are we doing here? So on day 3, my OB came and then explained to us that those 2 induction did not work. So we will tell you what the next one is, which is through the IV. And he said, but there's like 50-50 chance you can, it can make the labor going, or you will end up in emergency C-section. So he said that to us. And I think that word really, really struck me and my husband. And we were like looking at each other and like, no, I don't want that. So we asked him again, doctor, what is this with my daughter's kidney? Is this a life and death situation? And then he said, no. And then I was, so why are you doing this to us if it's not life and death, And so right away, I told my husband, let's just go home. I don't want to be in the hospital right now. It's too much. So I told my OB, I just want to go home. I'm just going to wait until my baby come naturally. And he said, okay, sure. So we left the hospital on the day 3. So I go back to my birthing center and then get all the prenatal care. I updated my midwife about it and stuff, And so, but when we came back from the hospital, I called my OBGYN in Jakarta. So I have like 4 OBGYN at this point, and all male OBGYN.
Yeah.
Looking back, like seriously, sometimes I'm like, why?
I mean, they're all the same. The female ones are just as bad.
I know, but I was just like, oh, gosh, I must be that disconnected that like they never really question male OBGYN. It sounds good. Give it to me. Yeah. And I called my male OBGYN in Jakarta, and he said, no, I asked his coworker, his colleague, basically, what happened to my baby kidney is nothing to be worried about. You can still go on with my plan to have natural birth. Don't worry about it. But it's also better if you keep monitoring the size of the kidney. So you don't want the size is getting bigger and bigger, which that he recommended me to see this new OBGYN in Bali. And we will go to have weekly ultrasound to just make sure that the kidney is not getting bigger. So that's what we did. We found this new OB. I would say, I mean, he's nice, they're all nice, but at the same time, they're also doctors. And we keep going every week to get checked. And her kidney, thank God, stayed the same. Never did not get bigger, did not get smaller, just stay the same. And 40 weeks pregnant, I remember I had a contraction. So our house and the birthing center, it was like 1 hour away. It was very far. And it's like Bali far. So because Bali is small, so it's really far. And I remember I told my husband, like, keep the app tracking contraction, and I feel this is getting closer and it's steady. Let's go. Our friend drove us to the birthing center in the middle of the night with me having contraction in the back. It was the worst thing ever. And then got into the birthing center, got checked. Oh, you only dilate 2 centimeters. And then the contraction completely gone. And then I'm like, oh my God, why does this keep happening to me? And disappointed, very disappointed. Came back home with at this point, I'm just lost. I was that naive thinking people will tell me something at least, or like telling me this is normal, or like this is the process, or this is, you just have to be patient. I was literally maybe waiting to hear that from people, but nobody really tell me. So I was just in my head, live in my head, questioning everything, and which caused me more stress than ever too. And every time I went to the birthing center, they check my blood level, and then the midwife always said, I think you have a high blood pressure. And I was like, I don't have high blood pressure. Yeah, but it's always, the number is always so high. I think it's safe to check through urine, because if you are having blood pressure, I don't think it's a good idea to give birth in a birthing center.
Oh my God.
So I did like a bunch of check urine time, maybe like 2 times or 3 times. Always came back negative. And I always told the midwife, you see, I don't have high blood pressure, and yeah, but we just want to make sure that you don't have it, because the number is always high. And it was because I'm always so nervous every time I see that.
Yes,
what do you call? I just feel like, okay, this is it. They're gonna check my blood, and then I'm just, thinking about the worst thing. And then obviously my blood pressure looks high. And 40 weeks passed by, and 41 weeks, I had another contraction. Basically, ever since I came back from the hospital until my daughter was born, I always have contractions.
Yeah, that's normal.
Every day. Yeah, every day for like, so that amount
and
of
wow,
time.
staying pregnant for a whole nother month.
Yeah.
Right?
So 41 weeks, I got another contraction, went back to the birthing center, got checked again, only 2 centimeter dilate. And another disappointment, and came back home. And this is the 41 weeks plus 5. So I remember the next day it will be 42 weeks. I had contraction, went to the birthing center, and then met the main midwife. And then again, it was always disappear. Basically, my contraction just gone as soon as I'm in birthing center. So she said, why don't you stay at the hotel nearest the birthing center? So if the contraction came back, you can just, walk to the birthing center. So that's what we did. And then the next day, I saw a bloody show. I was never been that happy to see blood in my undies. I was like, finally something. And in my head, oh, I must be like dilate 8 centimeters by now, and rushed to go to birthing center, feeling so happy and hopeful, and got checked again. And the midwife said, oh, it's only 2 centimeters. And I was, how is this happening? What is going on with my body? So, already feeling all the failure in the whole world, basically, and not knowing, like, can I really do this? Is my baby ever gonna come out? Did she want to come out? Can she come out? And so, but I stayed a little longer that day, and my midwife kept checking on my baby heart rate with Doppler and stuff, make sure like her heart rate is fine. And then at some point she checked again, and then she said, your baby's heart rate is up and down. I feel like something is wrong. And I was just like laying down there, feeling already like, okay, what else? What's next now? And I feel like something is wrong. And then I remember she said, are you going to be 42 weeks tomorrow? I said, yes. And so she, as she checked my baby's heart rate, she asked my husband, what do you think? I feel like something, I think your baby is stressed right now. What do you think? And my husband's like, I don't know. Don't ask me. I have no idea. So she asked me, like, oh, you're going to be 42 weeks tomorrow? Yes. I think I will be more comfortable if you keep her at the hospital.
Ew.
And at this point too, I never questioned anything. I trust you. Yes. So they brought me to, in the ambulance. He said, I will go with you to the hospital. I will never gonna throw you under the bus. I'll stay with you until your baby is here. So we went to the hospital where my new OBGYN at, and met him. And he said, I give you an hour, I give you an hour, figure it out if you want to go on natural birth or you want to go cesarean. And so and my midwife said, was saying, get a nap, and maybe when you wake up, you will have, answer for this. So I tried to have a nap with my husband. So they give us this room. Next to our room was this woman in labor with screaming, like she was in pain.
Yeah.
And I mean, how can I sleep? How can I think? And I was so worried about my baby girl every single day. And at some point I told my husband, you know what? I feel so defeated emotionally, mentally, physically.
Yeah.
I just cannot do this anymore. I cannot walk through labor. I cannot even think about anything. I just want my baby girl to be in my arms so we know what can we do with her kidney. So I told my husband, let's do cesarean.
Yeah.
And he said, are you sure about this? I cried even telling him, because again, another failure. I want to have natural birth so badly. But at the same time, like, I don't know if I have energy to go through all of this labor. I was already so exhausted. So he said, all right, up to you. And I told my OB, and my OB said, all right, let's do this. And my midwife still, are you sure you don't want to try natural birth? I will stay with you. Are you sure about this? And I said, I'm very sure. I don't want it. So anyway, get me prepped for the surgery. They put me to sleep, right? Completely sleep. Yeah. And I think like maybe my husband said around half an hour, and the nurse woke me up to show me like, ma'am, this is your baby here. And I was like, and I saw my baby cry, and I'm just like, oh, okay, hi baby. And then I went back to sleep. Next thing I know, I was in the recovery room surrounded by this many people. There was a lot of people in the recovery room. And my midwife, my husband, my parents, our friend, the nurse, and I was still in shock and the bright light. And I remember my midwife put the baby on top of me, and then now I know, like, she tried to make her to breast crawl, but she did not, because she just cried the entire time. And I'm like, what is she doing? In my head, like, what is my baby doing? What is she trying to do? It's like so many things to process. And she did not want to latch. Like, she kept giving, my midwife kept giving my baby like towards the breast here, and she would just cry and cry and cry. At that moment, I'm like, can everybody leave me alone, please? But I cannot say that, I'm just like, can everybody leave me alone? Can I just be with my baby? And a couple hours later, I was in the room with my baby, and everybody was gone, my husband, and then my baby was in that carry, the little bassinet, plastic bassinet next to me. And I was so in pain from the incision. I look at her, my husband fell asleep on the couch. I look at my baby next to me in that bassinet. I was looking at her, I was like, that's it? That was the baby that I was looking forward to meet my entire life, my entire pregnancy? There's no joy at all. There's no like, oh, give me the baby. No, I was just looking at her sleeping. I'm just like, that's it. And I mean, I want to cry even now, like thinking about that time, because I remember my friend who gave birth was telling me, oh, your pain will be gone once you see your baby. And I was like, what? Gone? My pain is so horrible right now. I cannot feel any joy seeing my baby. And yeah, from that moment, it was basically, it was a rough postpartum days. And she still did not latch for the next 3 days. And I went back to the birthing center to get help, her latch, and I was engorged and everything. And finally I got help. It was good. And for this moment here that I definitely want to like highlight, because my main midwife knows how she feels bad about it, because she knows I want to have natural birth. So one night I was by myself with my baby. My husband was out to get some dinner. I was staying at the birthing center at this time. And my midwife came to me and said, oh, your baby still did not want to latch. I said, no, I tried everything, still did not want to latch. All right, let's do this. So I laid down on the bed, and then she kind of opened my legs like that. And because I was like naked and with the undies, and my baby was naked. And then she's sitting like towards the end of the bed, and he said, let's do this. I know you want to feel your baby I know you want your baby to come out vaginally. So as my baby cried, and she put my baby close to my vagina, and then and then pull her and lift her up, and then she said, "Look, you just rebirth, you just do another birth again. Here's your baby. Now catch her and put her in your chest." And because I really wanted that so badly, I did that. I catch my baby, I put her in my breast, I cry, she cried. I mean, I'm still crying until now, but she latched after that. It's like something that like I wanted to be somebody to like know how broken I felt after the birth. I'm like, I just want my baby. I just want to feel her. I just, and so she knew that I didn't get that, and I feel like she feels bad about that too. So she tried to help me to reconnect with my baby, and she did latch after that. Thank God. And we came to the US when she was 1 month old. So no such thing as postpartum days here. No such thing as honoring 40 days. And the funny thing was, my culture is we are very honoring 40 days. My mom's always tell me, stay home, don't go anywhere, don't leave the house. But I'm always like, it's very like superstitious thing, and because it was kind of like more superstitious too. So I kind of like, I don't really believe that. And so when she was a month old, we went back to the US, which is, she was like 30 days, right? But during that month before, I was busy getting everything ready to travel to the US with my incision, everything. I mean, no wonder I had a horrible postpartum depression. But anyway, I went back to the US. I went to the US with my husband now as a new family, alone, no friends, no family, in Los Angeles. It's like, it was I think one of the hardest time ever in my life.
Wow.
And I did not expect what
That's
to
a big deal.
expect, basically. I was like, okay, I get my baby. Oh, okay, my husband, like, I gotta work now, and here I am in a new city with nobody. I don't know anybody, and just trying to survive. So the whole first year with her, it was all the hardest, to the point I told my husband, it's one and done. I don't want to have another kid. There's no way I'm going to do this again. I don't want to go through any of this again. So, and he wants 4. And I was like, yeah, you gotta live with it. We're gonna have 1. Anyway, so postpartum, I had a horrible postpartum depression. But as a thing, as she gets older, things gets easier and stuff. And as for her kidney, she did get surgery from the Children's Hospital here. And the funny thing was, her kidney at this point is still the same size as she was in the womb. So all of those crazy, all of those suggestions from doctors, all of doctors basically saying, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to, do surgery for her. None of this, if we just leave her be.
What did the surgery do?
Basically, they need to cut. There's like there's a blockage, right, in that urinary
Tract.
Yeah, tract. So they need to cut that, and which is true. So she has like a cesarean scar. They did it like on her abdominal when she was 1 year old, and we thought like that was it. Like her doctor was like, yeah, that was it, and then she should be fine after that. And then every time we follow up about her kidney, her doctor was like, oh, you know what, actually we might have to do another one. So basically what he did to my baby did not fix the kidney at all, and then he still want to do another one of that, hoping this will fix it. It will get rid of that blockage. But at this point, my husband and I, we were like, hell to the no. We're not going to put our baby girl in, going through the same thing again. They put her to sleep completely, and And then she has all kind of problems after that. She has speech delay. She has horrible eczema and stuff. So, and then it's all because we are trusting doctors, you know.
So when do you start like waking up to just saying no to all of this stuff?
I mean, I basically never question it ever since my baby girl is here. I was like, why does it happen? Why does it happen? Why does it happen? Why, you know? So I never stopped questioning it. I mean, I maybe like a couple of years, like 2-3 years, I start following maybe like bird keeper at that time, the term, and I'm like, what is bird keeper? You know? And I forgot what's the name. This is like on Instagram, and she just basically sharing all of this about the fact about birth, about breastfeeding and everything. And I mean, there was a moment I was in denial. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You know, I don't know. At some point, it just clicked, and I read again, and I'm like, that is what it is. It did. Oh, so you just, you know, when it just click, and you can unclick it again. So I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. It's amazing. I was being lied to, and now, fast forward 2020. Thanks to actually pandemic really bring me even better perspective, because she was with us all the time. My daughter, just like everybody, you know, they stuck with their kid, you know, like stuck. Like I was feeling bad for her because she's like want to go outside, but she cannot. She wants to meet her friends, but she cannot. And I saw her playing by herself, and I was just looking at her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I think it would be nice if I can give her siblings, but I don't want to give her siblings for a reason, just for like, oh, she's not going to be lonely reason. So it took me a while to like, do I really want to do this? Not because of society, not because of the pressure from everybody, but I know, I feel, definitely I can feel it that I want it. I know like, yes, I do want to expand our family, and I can see us having a bigger family now. So I told my husband, and then he's super excited about it, and we try right away. And then we got pregnant a few months later. This is with our second baby girl. And I found a radical birth keeper at this point. I was 6 weeks pregnant. And then I did a trauma debrief with her. And so she explained to me about what happened to my birth. Because at this point in my head, you know what? I want to do right. I want to talk to somebody that understands this, but not doctors. Because nobody understands about what I feel. Nobody. They think they know, but they don't. So I was like, okay, I want to like do this thing right. I want to talk to somebody. And I had a trauma debrief. She helped me a lot to see what is going on. And then from that moment, I was just basically, oh, I got this. That was not my fault. My body never broken. It never was, you know. I never had a low milk supply. I had a freaking cesarean. My baby can't latch. The reason she cannot latch, because they clean her nose right after birth, and then she couldn't breathe, so she cannot, you know, the position was so uncomfortable for her. But I may believe that was, you know, my fault. Even like the hospital transfer and everything. So it was just kind of like crumbling from that, all these old beliefs. And I'm like, oh, I got this. And so my pregnancy was, I mean, it was easy with her, but I do have some rocky times with my husband that, thank God, we finally address it. And we are stronger than ever now. My first baby, Bert, she's basically who was telling me, Mommy, stop asking people's opinion, looking for other people's validation, or, you know, just trust yourself. Because I knew, like at that time, I knew like something was not right, but yet I trust other people to decide that for me. So, and in my head, I'm like, all right, I owe that to myself, and I owe that to her. So that's why I said, at this birth and this pregnancy and birth, I'm done asking people, and I'm done asking people's opinion. And I found Yolanda's group, which it was, it's like an oasis, because at that time I feel the loneliest ever. My first trimester, I have no idea, I don't know anybody. And then during COVID, like that was 2021, but still COVID still in the thick of it. And I saw Yolanda's Instagram saying you can join my circle, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna join the circle. So I joined the group, and when I saw there's a bunch of birth calls, pregnancy calls, and I'm like, oh my god. And I just keep going, attending all of them. And for the first time, I felt, oh my god, this is what every pregnant woman should be and should have, this support. I mean, obviously I was hoping it was in physical, not online, but still, I just having all these women with their knowledge, with their experience, able to tell each other and just listen, just give you the space to talk and share your worries and your fears. So I was so thankful for that. Definitely the group helped me a lot to reshape, for sure, how I want it to be even more. My prenatal village during my second baby pregnancy was completely night and day. I went to the circle, I went to the women's circle, I went to prenatal village, I took a walk all the time. I had chiropractor care, I got a massage every 2 weeks, no doctors, but that was good. That was like amazing. I think I recommend every pregnant woman to have that type of prenatal care. Although I do still have challenge at that time where my husband was pro home birth. He's all about home birth, but he's not necessarily free birth, because his mother gave birth all the 3 kids at home, and so he was like, I saw my siblings being born at home, so it's fine, but he thinks we need to have a midwife. And at the time I was like, you know what, I know it's like I have to put some strategy around this. I told myself, I'm gonna free birth, I don't care, but I'm gonna play the game for a little bit. Okay, if my husband wants to have a midwife, okay, let's shop around, let's interview a bunch of midwives, which I did. We interviewed 5 midwives, and of all the 5, we like this one midwife, and we met her, and she's basically the most pro-natural home birth midwife. She says she already gave birth 999 babies through VBAC, and we were like, so we'll hire you. But I did mention to her that about my first birth, that I went to 42 weeks, and I told her, what if this pregnancy I will go past 42 weeks? And then she said, it's not a problem.
Lies.
And I was like, it's not. And he said, yeah, actually, I can. She said she can provide an OB to come to the house during my labor. So basically, she gave me another week after I passed 42 weeks, and then if I'm in labor, she will call this OB to witness me during labor. So it make it legal for her to assist. She said it'll be fine, but at the same time, that means I have to pay a couple extra $1,000 to have the OB. So at the time I was like, okay, so that is not fine then, because I have to pay extra. If it's fine, then it should be fine. And I know that's the biggest red flag for me, because at this moment I'm like, I'm not going to do anything to bring my baby out, nothing. I will do zero, literally nothing. So it's you know, when you can smell it already, but at the same time, I have to kind of like, I have this other like, I know I don't like to say it, but like job to like, or I have to be patient. I have to make my husband understand a little bit, you know? So I have that, although I keep telling him, this is my birth. I'm gonna give birth this baby. So I make decision. So he understand that part until that part only. So he's still like, yeah, but we need somebody with experience to help us to go through all of this process, you know? And I said, we don't need it. So it was quite stressful time for me to like trying to come on and, you know, get him understand. And then I scroll Instagram and then I saw Christine's course about reunion. And I read it. I was like, this is it. This is it. We're going to do this. I signed up right away. I told my husband, this is amazing. This course is going to be great for both of us. They just, you know, and he said, all right, okay, sure, I'll go. And literally it changed his view of birth completely, that course. And then he's actually really he had a great time too. Every time we go there, it's really nice because it's so relaxing. It was with 5 other couples, basically learn about physiological birth. Even for me, I was like, oh wow, about the water, if your water broke and stuff. That's a lot of good information. And for my husband, that's crazy. Nobody told us about this. So from that moment, we know this midwife is not in the picture anymore. But I do know I want to have birth keeper because I just feel like I want some energy from other women. I want to be whole and witness from wise women. So I asked Yolanda if she knows anybody in LA, and she gave me 2 names, I think, and I emailed both of them. And I'm thankful Elisa answered, and then yeah, we met, and I told my husband right away, I want her. And yeah, sure. Then so she's so glad that she was in my birth team, and everything was basically, and from that moment, everything just worked so perfectly. So I go into labor at 43 weeks plus 4 days. It was also very hard because I remember there's 4 pregnant people around me that had due date near each other, and all of them had a baby except me. At that moment, I was like, am I gonna be in labor, basically?
Well, hey, someone's got to be last.
I mean, I think yes, fortunately it's me. And so I had 7 days of prodromal labor that started from, I remember it was Saturday to Saturday. So the first Saturday, I was, you know, just like every pregnant woman at the very last of the pregnancy, I'm so exhausted. I took a walk and I started feeling contraction that day. And I was so excited again. I told my husband, let's get home and set the pool. In my head, this is the day, because it gets stronger. And I called Elisa, and she came to our house. And I was in labor all night long. I got into the pool. It feels so good. And then, sure enough, like around 5-6 a.m., it fills it out again. And then like nothing happened again. It's like, oh, I'm okay again. You know, like I can talk, everything's fine. So, and Elisa said like, that's okay. It's good. You know, everything, you know, worked just the way it is. And Tuesday and Monday, contractions and stop again. Tuesday, contractions, stop again. And Wednesday, contraction. And this is all day, all night. So I call Elisa again to come. And she stayed the night with us. And the next day, it was like lasted for 55 hours, basically. I have a contraction for 55 hours. And then in the morning, it was gone. And at this point, my husband was, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure we don't want to check? Maybe something is not right? Because I had 0 ultrasound and I don't want it. And I said, I don't want it. I don't want it. And I went back to bedroom, and he thought, oh, she's probably give up. And I came back and I said, all right, head back in the game. Let's do this again. So I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital. I know, because everything is fine. I talk to my baby every day. She's fine. And Thursday, another contraction. And that was Thanksgiving Day. I was so tired being at home. So I told my husband, let's go have lunch somewhere in the restaurant. And then came back home, had contraction, lasted all night, and was gone again on Friday morning. So that Black Friday, contraction all day. I went shopping. I was like so exhausted at this point. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna go shopping.
Retail therapy.
Yes, I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna go shopping at Black Friday. I was in the line.
That's
I have
funny.
contractions. I don't care. I told my husband, if I'm gonna give birth at the mall, I will give birth at the mall. So,
Oh my God, that would be a story.
But I was like, I don't care. I just don't want to be at home all the time. And a contraction. And the Saturday morning, this is maybe I was physically exhausted at this moment because I haven't slept for a week. And my husband started getting more worried because we get all the pressure from the family. Like, are you sure everything is okay? Are you sure you don't want to go to the hospital? Are you sure you don't want to get ultrasound, at least one ultrasound to make sure? And I kept saying, no. So my husband's had this little, like, wobbly, like, are you sure you don't want it? And I said, no. So that Saturday morning, I had a Reiki session with Christine, and it helped a lot. And later on in the afternoon, because my husband still worried, he thought my baby was transverse. That's why she doesn't want to come out. I don't know where he got the idea from. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to update Yolanda about this, okay? And see if we can ask Yolanda more about it. And so I told Yolanda about it, and I said, do you think we can have a call? And she said, yes, let's go have a quick call. And so we have a quick call with her. And after that call, basically my husband's like, all right, everything is fine. It's kind of like reassuring me and him in particular, like, all right, it's fine. And I remember because Yolanda is like, talk to your baby. What does your baby say? So I talked to my baby. I said, baby, are you okay? If it's not, please tell mommy. Did mommy sabotage your voice or something? I'm here, I'm listening. I swear to God, my baby always said, I'm good, mommy. I'm good. I swear, that's like her voice. Just be patient. And I was like, see, she's fine. She's really fine.
Funny.
And yeah, sure enough, that Saturday, I was in labor all day, basically in the bedroom. But I thought I just want to be alone, but I need my husband so badly. And my daughter wants to play with him all the time. So he feel like pulled from every direction. So I asked my friend to pick her up. As soon as my friend picked her up, my labor like starts, like pick up so fast, basically. And I remember maybe like around 4, my friend picked my daughters at 4, and then my baby girls was born at 8:15 p.m. So I had this, I know it got intense. The contraction got so intense because I know I cannot sit, I cannot sleep, I cannot stand up. I just cannot do anything. And which we talk about this, like I talked to Elisa, Amanda, everybody is basically saying, I was probably in transition at that point because I was just like, I know I told my husband, what is this? This is so painful. Why is it so long? I don't think I can do this. Then my husband actually, because he listens so well, he's like, oh, he said he cannot do this. So maybe this is getting close. So it was so intense. I asked my husband to get the tub ready because I was like, I need a hot water. And I know I was so impatient. And then as soon as it's done, I got into the tub, and it was maybe for like 10 seconds. And I told my husband, get me out of the tub, get me out of the tub. I'm like panic because I feel like too confined for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I don't like it, get me out. I was like panic. And so I got up the tub. I was shivering, like crazy shivering. Like I was seriously, I never shivered like that before. And so my husband's like, all right, get a heater. I have like 5 towels around me because I was like just shivering. And 5 minutes later, I was hot, like sweating. I was just like throw all the towels, like, I don't need all of this. And then after that, I feel my body wants to push. So I throw my body on the floor, like all fours, And I told my husband, I feel like I need to push. And then he said, okay, good, then push. And then I told him, don't tell me what to do. I don't want to hear from you. It's like, I don't want to hear from a male. So I told him, call Elisa. So basically, I was fearless. I don't have that much worry until that pushing moment, because it's just so foreign to me. I have no idea how it is. I feel like it's like a possess, right? It's just out of body experience. So I was like, call Elisa at this, because it was just me and him, basically. I told my husband, I was just you and me here, okay? And he called Elisa. She didn't pick up the phone, but I know I need to talk to somebody, like to telling me, this is okay, this is fine, this is normal. I said, call my friend Amanda. And Amanda picked up the phone, and I told her I want to push. And she said, that's good. That's so good. Like super calm and very affirming, like, oh my God. And I'm like, how long do I still ask him, how long do you think I will have to push? Because I'm like, this is crazy. I was roaring and pushing, roaring. It was exhausted. In my head, there's no way I can do this for an hour. I will die. In my head, I'm going to die if I push this long, basically. And Amanda was like, just do it. Just listen to your body. And as I still like on the floor, in my head, I was like, I need to go somewhere that like can hold me like steady. So I saw my toilet. I was like, I need to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet, and I sit on the toilet, and I push and I roll. And then maybe I would say like 15 minutes. My husband's like right in front of me. I almost broke his nose because I was just like put my face against his face, because I was like,
Totally.
He's like, you were so strong, he said. And yeah, and he was out, pink, crying, covered with little vernix too. Beautiful baby I've ever seen. And yeah, it was like, can I believe she's here? Can I believe we did it? And which I thought we will cry, but we did not cry at all. We were just, we're like laughing and smiling.
Wait, was it a boy or a girl?
It was a girl.
A girl.
It was a girl. Yeah.
No.
It was a girl. And 20 minutes later, Elisa came. So it was just meant to be just me and my husband, basically, for for the birth. And yeah, she came and got into my bed right away. She nursed right away. It was, just beautiful. And I told my husband at that time, I cannot wait to do this again. It was not orgasmic birth, but I know I cannot wait to do this again. I want to do it again, and so yeah, it was really, I don't know. I still cannot find the word for it, but I cannot believe I did it with all these doubts from people. And so the placenta came a little longer than usual. It was 34 hours.
34
hours. I think if there's any fear around it, I would say placenta was one of my biggest fear. During pregnancy, I tried to address everything, but I think the placenta it was pretty strong for me to have that fear. What if it doesn't want to come out? Because I have this fear of like, I have a cesarean scar. What if it's gonna attach to that and didn't want to come out? And so I make that story in my head too. So I think it is kind of like manifest to the reality of my placenta birth. And because at some point I'm like, you know what, I'll try it. I'll try every like 1 hour. But at the same time, I know I have a fear like every time I try, is it gonna come out? Is it gonna come out? So I still have that doubt. And I remember I text Yolanda. I said like, hey, my placenta, I still haven't birthed my placenta. And then she called right away. And then she's like, all right, I needed to do this. I needed to squat on the ball and give a gentle tug, and you push like you push your baby. So when she said that, it's like, that's right. That's what I didn't do. I'm just giving a little like push. Yeah. And yeah, sure enough, I give I was roaring, well, not as, powerful as the baby, but I was like, and she flopped. And yeah, because Yolanda was like, no, the thing is, you want to get rest, and you cannot rest until your placenta was out,
And
so.
I know that many women who are having these autonomous births don't know how much effort a lot of placentas need, right? So I want to be clear here for women listening, because there's this, kind of misunderstanding in the free birth world, and with new radical birth keepers who don't have any experience, that some placentas just take 24 hours or 34 hours and it's no big deal. And I want to be clear here that it is extremely unlikely that a placenta hasn't detached after the first hour or two. But what happens is the placenta, is pretty darn big, right?
Yeah,
and
it's huge.
It's huge, and it's detached in the first couple hours, usually first hour, but it's sitting over a cervix, which is not huge, right? Let's say it's this big or so, and then we have this placenta over it. And so if you think about the mechanics of that, sometimes, of course, they just slide out, and sometimes you'll hear of women just plop, but a lot of time it's not like that. And we need to cough and pull and actually work to get it out. But women, don't know that, because why would they? It's no fault of their own, but women don't know that. And so I hear these free birth stories, all the time, where it's like, oh, my placenta just didn't want to come for 12, 18, 24, 35, 48 hours. And that's not normal. And what is most likely happening is the woman didn't know how to get it out. Right. And so unless it's like a really rare situation, like what you were afraid of, like placenta accreta, unless it's something very unlikely, it's more like what your situation sounds like, where you just didn't know. Your birth keeper's brand new, you just didn't know that it wasn't going to just plop out. You had nervousness about it, totally understandable. But I know a lot of women will listen to this episode, and I just want to speak to all of them and, listening, that there's nothing wrong with, the ignorance of not knowing how to get it out, but we may as well help spread some helpful information, right? That, as a birth keeper, you shouldn't be leaving a birth until the placenta is successfully out. And the mother very likely will need some support on how to get it out, right? Because the mother postpartum is so tight in her hips and in her pelvis. It's normal that they're like spasming or even shaking, and the thought of trying to open that again and push is like a crazy idea, right? And just like with Yo, she just needed to tell you, and then beautifully it's right there, which lets us know it wasn't still attached to your uterine lining. It was ready to come, and it had probably been ready to come for a really long time, right? So yeah, that's important, and I'm glad you shared that part of this story, because it's not unusual that I hear about these births outside the system where it takes all this time. But yeah, I hope I'm making that clear.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely, that's something right away, my husband and all right, our next birth, next free birth placenta will be, definitely right after a baby's birth. I definitely,
and now you won't be scared anymore, because you've done it. Exactly.
Yeah. So and I completely, and when the placenta was out, I'm like, that was right, because I cannot rest again, because I have all this fear too. Like, how can I rest?
The birth's not over.
Exactly, the birth is not over. But it was out. It was my husband inspected it. It was beautiful. I think Yolanda helped too. She helped my husband through the process. And thank God, everything still intact, everything, and I don't have any blood loss whatsoever. Everything basically fine and healthy. That's why. And then I'm like, and it was, again, it really changed everybody. I mean, definitely myself, my husband, because, you know, even him now, like, oh, we can have free birth our next baby now.
Totally.
You know, it's like, so it was, again, just like I've heard from you, Yolanda, every, you know, woman, wise woman, which I thought my midwife was a wise woman before too. When you just leave the bird undisturbed, you know, it always turns fine.
I mean,
and yeah,
your previous midwife in Bali is a medical provider, and that is a very different paradigm than the one Yolanda and I operate within. And medical providers don't understand physiological birth. I don't care how famous she is or how nice her birth center is. She doesn't support physiological birth, right? Even though medical midwives act like they do. Which is a whole nother tangent. But I love this story, and I'm so proud of you. And it's such a big reclamation and just overcoming, you know, so much bullshit with the system. And you know, birth is designed to make you want to do it again.
Yes,
right?
I remember you definitely mentioned that in other podcasts before. And I remember, I think one of my favorite story of feedback story from FREEBIRTH was Mari. Yeah. Yeah, her feedback stories was, I think, one of my favorite. I think I listened 4 times, like just to be like, oh my God, look at her. She's so like, I'm fearless. I have no worry about it, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yes, I will be like that too, you know? So, you know, again, this podcast helped me so much to, you know, getting information out there that I cannot find. And like, you know, on the book you can, but somebody else's story, it's different. When you hear them, it hits different. So,
and how cool that you get to be contributing.
I know. And I was telling Yolanda, I think, like, I don't know, when I first started the group, I was like, maybe one day I will, you know, I was still like 4 months pregnant. I'm like, maybe one day I will be in the podcast. And Yolanda was like, yes, of course. You know, you never know. I'm like,
beautiful.
So thank you so much for having me and letting me share my birth stories. And it's such an honor. And
thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Emily.
And that's it for today, my sisters. Check out everything we do, including one-on-one and group coaching, learn about our private membership, in-person retreats, and more on FreeBirthSociety.com. Our online courses are on FreeBirthSocietyCourses.com, including our flagship course, The Complete Guide to Free Birth. Don't miss the Radical Birthkeeper School if you're ready to become the authentic midwife that women are searching for. Together we rise, and the revolution starts inside each of us. I'll leave you with our Free Birth Society theme song, Wild Woman by Aruba Red.
I honor you for the wisdom you held, the ancient traditions of plant medicine and womb magic. I feel the spirit of the ancestors as I place my hands upon my belly. This sacred portal will be honored. Eons upon light beams of survival, withstanding the eradication of our power by design. I will not allow the separation of our young to be forced upon me. My sisters will no longer birth in captivity. The picket line redefined from burning our wild women to paralyzing us and drugging our babes. Strapped down in a clinical white bed, drying up the milk from our breasts. Keep your needles. My family will never again be doomed to chase those dragons or your poison. We reject your fear. We choose love. Everything with intention. Death, ascension. I will fly and bring her back from the stars. Conscious